Let's start with a very basic question, which new and even experienced managers often struggle with. That is, what is sales management? I'm going to ask you to pause in a second and write down what you think the definition of management is. By the way, this is a topic that will be ideal for discussion with your coach because it does change a little bit depending on organisations. What I'm going to give you is a theoretical or an academic answer that you'll find in most textbooks. But could you just pause right now and write down how you would define what management is? So you probably wrote down lots of words, and traditionally management is thought of as planning and organising, leading, controlling, setting targets, looking at performance against targets, giving feedback, developing people, etc., etc. And indeed, those are all good words. Let me give you what is normally regarded as the textbook definition of management, and there's going to be some important words here. So most academics and consultants would say something like this. Management is achieving desired results through the efforts of others. So let's look at some of these words in more detail. Management is about achieving desired results, which means that someone, now it could be yourself or more likely for sales managers, somebody else, who has set you some targets to be achieved. In fact, as sales managers, we are in a better position than many other managers, as at least our top line aims should be fairly clear. But I'll come back to this in a minute, because apart from maybe some financial targets, often what we're expected to achieve can be a little hazy. Management in general and sales management in particular is about achieving desired results. It's about achieving targets and maybe some KPIs and possibly some other more fuzzy things that we set for ourselves through our own planning or others have set for us. The other crucial aspect of management is about achieving things through the efforts of other people. Primarily this means through the salespeople that we have direct control over in our sales teams, but it's also going to include, in many circumstances, a whole host of other people, technical people, architects, service managers, customer success managers, etc. There are a whole raft of people that are going to directly impact the success that you have, and typically you may not have any direct control over them. One concept that many people find useful is that of the sales management squeeze. Some people talk about a sales manager being in the middle of a sandwich. You have your sales team reliant on you, looking up to you for leadership. And then you have your boss and your boss's boss, probably the rest of the organisation, putting incredible pressure on you from above. One of the things you'll want to do is protect your team to a certain extent. You don't want to be a blocker to them, but you will want to protect them from all the distractions, frustrations, paradoxes and ambiguity going on around them. In many ways, you want to make the salesperson's life as simple as possible. They have customers, they have supporting people, and they have targets that they have to find a way of meeting. For sales managers, life is not quite the same. You have customers and you have salespeople who need to be recruited, motivated, appraised, set targets, coached, guided, supported, disciplined, and sometimes replaced. You've got a whole host of people who would see themselves as your peers, your pre-sales technical people, your support people, your delivery people, your finance people, people in operations, people in sales ops are all going to be demanding of your time. Your boss is probably one of the keys to your success. We'll come back to that. Your boss's boss will sometimes reach through your boss and give you maybe complimentary messages or maybe sometimes conflicting messages. You're going to have to handle that. You're going to be bombarded by different types of suppliers, people trying to sell you training, advertising, recruitment. There will be lots of people who have some wonderful app that's going to increase sales efficiency by some ridiculous amount. There will be lots of people telling you that sales has just in the last 6 or 12 months changed completely and only they have the answer to make you successful. For many sales managers, working with channel partners is going to add tremendous opportunity, but also added complications. You may have other partners who are developing for you or servicing for you or consulting for you. All of these people will be demanding of your time. But the one thing that is constant is that you will have a target. You will have objectives to meet. They will be against tight time scales, whether that's measured quarterly or monthly or annually. The reality is, as a sales manager, you're going to have to build an operation over the long term, but also deliver against these often short-term targets, and also deliver against the expectation of lots of other people around you. One exercise I would recommend that you do, not now, but as soon as you can, preferably before you meet up with your coach, is to spend some time talking to your key stakeholders and asking them what they think your role is, how they will judge how successful you are being, and how they would ideally want to work with you. You should start with and focus very much on your immediate manager. One thing that is often observed with sales managers who are perceived to be struggling, the number one reason is that they are not in alignment with their boss. They had not appreciated the messages or the boundaries or the challenges that their boss thought they had communicated. So if you want to be successful, make sure that you know as clearly as possible what success looks like in the minds of your boss. This may be difficult if your boss is time pressed, but I would really encourage you to force them to sit down with you and go through their expectations of your role. Once you have done this, do something similar with all of your other key stakeholders, so that even if you cannot meet their expectations, you at least know how they will be perceiving you, and so you can do something about it. Finally, many new sales managers get confused between what your role is and how you're measured versus where you add value. The distinction is going to be crucial to any manager, but particularly a sales manager, if you're going to have a really effective and performing team without getting burnt out yourself. When you were a salesperson, you probably didn't have this as a major issue because your added value and your role and how it was measured would all be very similar. Something like to find, generate, nurture opportunities that turned into profitable orders and revenues, i.e. to make sales. For a sales manager, the distinction between responsibility of the role and added value is going to be more crucial. Now obviously this varies between different sales teams, but a common framework that many people adopt is to say that the responsibility for salespeople is to sell, and they are measured and rewarded on sales results. Sales managers are also probably heavily measured and rewarded on sales results, but the actual selling should be done by the salespeople. Your primary personal role and added value is to ensure that you have a full complement of effective salespeople, which means recruiting them in a timely manner, ensuring that they are trained, ensuring that they have good systems and support around them, that they are motivated, that they are constantly coached effectively. Now, we will look at delegation in more detail in Module 4, but for now it's the realisation that as a sales manager, even if you may be the best salesperson in the team, your job is not to sell, but to get a team of salespeople selling effectively. Incidentally, in many organisations this model is further developed to look at the role of your boss, which may be primarily to set the context and strategic direction for you to be successful. But like you, while they will have particular areas of added value, they are not off the hook for making sure that salespeople are in place and effective. or they're not off the hook for making sales. So this is a nice simple model that might be helpful, but please discuss with your coach and maybe even with your line manager to understand how applicable it is to you in your particular organisation. We hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial and found it useful in developing your sales management skills. It's one of a series designed to help aspiring, new or developing sales managers. Please subscribe to get access to all of the tutorials in the series and to get news of new ones added. You can also go to www.realsalesmanager.com where you'll find lots of other activities and resources, as well as guides suggesting the best sequence in which to listen to or watch these tutorials.